At this point, I think I've just resigned myself to the lives. But even by that standards, oh my God, it was a lot. We are back again for another weekly Chantal video. Yay! I'm wearing one more of my summer shirts. This is still the same hairstyle as before. I haven't changed it. I just styled it slightly differently. I don't know. Let me know if you guys think it's working. If it's not, I don't know. I'm very I go back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, I love it. Sometimes I hate it so much. I can't decide. I've always got hair regret no matter what I do. Anyway, getting off topic, let's talk about Chantal. Chantal did not put out a single pre-recorded video this entire week. The shortest video that I found that she put out was a 47-minute long video. And it was a lot, okay? There was so much content. Oh my God, I think 3 days in a row she put out like 5 hours of content. That is so much content. Like, I don't even have words to describe how much content that is. I have a lot of feelings on that about the vast amount of content that she's putting out there, what it says for her psyche. But I think I'm gonna keep that for a separate video. Maybe I'll make it for my patrons for this month's Patreon video. If you guys are ever interested in that kind of thing, by the way, my Patreon's always linked down below. I always have monthly, patron specials, patrons only videos for certain tiers. If you guys want to check that out, all of that information's down there. But I haven't decided, and I figured let's just go through her video and talk about the quote unquote the meat of her video. All right, let's get into it. Okay, this is the first video that she does. This is her birthday live. If you guys don't know, last week was Chantal's birthday, and she used her birthday as an excuse to just go full on ham. And by ham, I do mean ham, not hard as a mother, because she ate everything that she could. She had food and edibles and just indulging in every capacity that she could. It is good to celebrate your birthdays. I think it's good to memorialize the good times, as it were. Another year spent on this pitiful rock that we call home. And yet, something about this, I don't know. It struck me a lot as just excuse seeking. She needed a reason to overindulge in, hey, a birthday's as good a thing as any, right? That's the way that it came across to me. But that week is over, right? That week is over. That means this week, Chantal should have been more on task, more focused. She should have been doing better. She should have just gotten her act together. Did she get her act together? No. She did not get her act together. This video was a lot of the same as before. She spent a lot of her time on live, eating, chit-chatting, and very high. She spent a lot of her videos having edibles. Now, I've never taken edibles before. I've never smoked before, so I can't say that I can commiserate with her in that regard. I don't know what the experience of that is like. So entirely possible that it doesn't provide the soothing effect that food does for her. But somehow I doubt that, because she seemed very blissed out. In this video in particular too, but there's a video later on where she is high as all get out. She seems blasted, and I'm very bad at recognizing it, right? I've never indulged myself, and a lot of my friends who do indulge are very they're very specific situations, and it's very small amounts. So I haven't actually spent a lot of time with people who've overindulged to that capacity before, and it was hard for me to recognize. It genuinely is. I had a friend of mine who once got super tipsy drunk at another one of our mutual friends' 21st birthday, and I didn't even recognize it. She was literally swaying slightly, and I still didn't pick up until I got close enough to her to smell the alcohol on her breath, right? I'm that kind of oblivious. And I picked it up in almost every video where she was doing it, even when I was skipping through and I didn't necessarily see her take the edibles, because her mood change is that significant. And it does seem to be having a dulling effect. I think it's taking away a lot of the emotional urgency of what her birthday week represented for her and what the end of it means now, which is that she doesn't have an excuse to overindulge the way that she does, and she has the uphill battle of trying to get herself in a healthy enough position to qualify for weight loss surgery. Remember, that's still the goal. I know that on YouTube, especially with Chantal, stuff here moves like so fast. It's like if something happened 3 weeks ago, it might as well have not happened at all. But the goal here is to get her to good enough health so she can get the weight loss surgery, and then she can lose weight through weight loss surgery. Is she doing good? I would not say so. I don't think that she's made any positive progress on her own. I mean, the Ozempic has helped and she has lost weight. Let's not forget that. And that's a great sign. But I don't know how long that's going to last, especially given the fact that she is taking drugs so often to counteract the effects of the Ozempic that I don't even know if the weight loss is going to be sustained. Remember, Chantal's appetite hasn't gone down. Her coping mechanisms haven't changed. The only thing that's changed is how much she can eat. And once the effects of the drugs wear off, once she's no longer taking Ozempic, once she stretches her stomach back out, once she can drive again because her car's been returned to her, once whatever the obstacle that's there has been removed, she will resume eating. Because the reason she eats hasn't changed, because she hasn't worked on it. I've seen no evidence that she's going to see a therapist. I've seen no evidence that she's doing anything else to address the issues. She isn't even like trying to exercise and build up muscle mass to give her a little bit more breathing room when she eventually reduces her food intake, right? None of that stuff is happening. If you are a certain dollar amount patron, my memory is really bad, so I can't remember, you might have already seen the video that I did talking about her meeting up with Frank and my opinions on having relationships with a fan like that, especially in the context of both Amber and Becky's long-standing relationship and also the more troubling information that we've been getting from the James Charles situation, which, if you guys don't know, I really recommend looking into it. There's a lot of stuff that happens on here that's just YouTube drama, and I could not give less of a crap about it, right? Like, I care about it in the sense that it's like, cool, tea, it's tea, you know, kikiing with the friends and the whatnot. But the James Charles situation, I don't know. It's like very Weinstein-esque to me. That's the way that it came across to me. And I think it's something that Chantal needs to really keep in mind, especially with how she's been interacting with her fan base. I want to do a particular video about Chantal's weird case of parasocial relationships. So I'll probably have like a shorter video out sometime next week talking about it. Still gathering my thoughts on it. But needless to say, not happy about the whole situation. More in-depth thoughts will be there if you guys want to join and watch that video. Anyway, the only other thing of note in this video is that she talks about how, you know, this birthday turned out better than she had hoped because she's still going out there and doing something. And the thing that she was doing was going out to meet Frank and getting bubble tea. And that struck me as being so sad, that this was a better birthday than she's expected. She said, you know, maybe she could have planned it better. But I didn't plan anything for my birthday. My friends showed up here. They showed up with a cake. They came to the little like little splash of like green that we have, you know, in our backyard, and they brought a cake and they cut a cake, and, you know, they all like made like little plates for themselves, and we all stood around and we talked, and then we went back home, and over Zoom they all ate cake. This is before, you know, we had the vaccine, but they still wanted to come and celebrate with me. And they put in the effort. And, you know, I'm more connected with my friends. I have a core group of friends that they're like couple friends, which is what happens when you're in a couple. You just attract other couples. I have like a group of 4 couple friends that partner and I hang out with. But even beyond that, there were like Zoom calls with family. There were Zoom calls with like other people. My siblings sent me like flowers, and they sent me like little pastries, right, from Paris Baguette. You know, partner went and got me stuff. And it wasn't the most exciting birthday, but there was stuff. There was stuff that people planned for me because it was my birthday, and people wanted me to enjoy it, and they wanted to partake in the enjoyment with me. And for all that I give her a lot of shit, a lot of which she deserves, quite rightfully, when she said that, it made me really sad. It made me think of the fact that I think that if that's true, what she just said, that it was a better birthday than she had expected, she must have had her expectations so incredibly low. that's a little heartbreaking to have expected nothing for your birthday, and to even this little bit was better than she could have imagined. It's just, it makes me very sad, and it makes me empathize with her, right? Because I remember being like that lonely kid, because my parents moved a lot, being the lonely kid in school that nobody really knew. I remember not having a lot of friends and not knowing who to spend my time with. And I remember the isolating feeling that I had then. And it makes me think of that Jasmine again. It makes me think of that little girl again. I don't like feeling that way, but it really makes me empathize for her. And it makes me really sad that Chantal has essentially cut off communications with everybody. It makes me really sad that she's so insecure that she doesn't want even her friends and family to perceive her. And I really, really wish that she would look at her birthday, she would look at her life, and she would say to herself that, you know, let me change what I can. And even if she can't do anything about her health and she doesn't want to stop eating and whatever, if she can at least just work on some of her self-esteem issues, she can work on some of her mental health issues with her doctor, just maybe talking to other people might become a little bit easier, you know? Anyway, I know that wasn't the point of her birthday live. It was 5.5 hours long. It was a lot. But just watching through it, the overwhelming sense I got was of someone cripplingly lonely, and it made me so sad for her. And the rest of the week didn't really change that perception. She was remarkably happy, but watching her be happy over so little going on in her life made me really sad for her, that this was a happy occasion, you know, if that makes any kind of sense. Anyway, next. So in this video, she's cooking dinner. The first thing I want to say is she looks lovely. I really like the way that her makeup is, and it's not a lot. I'm not always the biggest fan of like the red lip Chantal, though I do like that look on her. I think she'd done it once where she had this like cat print thing on. It looked really cute on her. Red really does work with Chantal. I've just also learned to associate like that like stark red lip and the harsh eyeliner, which is a look that really works for her, for when she's feeling like a badass and she wants to come on and like rage at people. I really wish she would have this on as more like warrior paint. I hope that's not too girl boss cliche. Sorry about that. I really wish she would be more like, you know, have this on and just make herself feel more like powered and emboldened and do fun things. But a lot of times she uses this as like the thing she does right before she's mad at other people, and it makes me dislike the look even though there's nothing objectively to dislike. The look that she has now, the soft look, the demure, the makeup that she has on, the softer lip color, it also looks very lovely on her. I wish she'd done a little bit more with her hair, but I know that that can be a little bit harder, and also with her thinning hair, it can be a little hard to style. So, you know, there's that. I would recommend actually that she get something like the hair halo that, if you guys know, Jen Loves Reviews, or Jen Loves Now, I think her channel name is called. She got this thing, it's called a hair halo. You can just like put it underneath here, and it like increases the hair volume that you have. I actually kind of wanted to get it myself, but they're expensive, and I mean, my hair is not the thickest. I mean, if you've seen my sister's hair, you will know, but it's not terrible, and they're not cheap, and I'm a responsible adult. I'm a responsible adult. I'm a responsible adult. I can't do that to me. I can't spend like $400, $500 on hair. I'm a responsible adult.
I had an awesome night. I never thought that I could enjoy like the cyber part, or like video chat, kind of like sexual stuff. So I had a pretty good night with Antonio last night. So and it was pretty spicy. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, she tells a story of like the fact that she had like a really spicy cyber night with her love interest Antonio, and she's all like, you know, she's giving a lot of details, juicy details. I'm really glad for her. I'm really happy that she's happy. I said it a little while ago, but also, like, I'll say it here again. Even when she was out with Frank and he, you know, offers to go buy her bubble tea, she seems really happy about the fact that someone is doing something nice for her. You know, for all that she irritates me, Chantal's not an irredeemable monster, right? Like, she's not Joseph Mengele. So when people do nice things for her, I'm happy for her. I really want more people to do nice things for her, but I also want her to put herself in the position where people can do nice things for her, right? Like my friends showing up with the cake. People might have wanted, like Reina, her friend, might have wanted to do something nice for her if Chantal kept in touch with her more. You know what I mean? Like, it's a two-way street. Friendship is always a two-way street. My very bestest friend in the entire world has a habit of self-isolating when she gets really stressed, right? And I don't let her do that because I know, because she does this where she'll cut herself off from everybody because she's like, I can't deal, and she'll isolate herself. But it has like a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of an effect where the more she self-isolates herself, the more isolated she is, the more awful she feels, and the more she self-isolates herself. So like, I'm like, all right, well, me and our other like mutual best friend, we're like a clique of three. We don't let her do that, right? Both me and Em will like make sure that if she is feeling sad, that she doesn't like cocoon herself in something like that, just to make sure that she's doing okay. And of course, any one of us would do the same for, you know, any one of us, right? Like, she needs that in her life. She needs people who are going to be like, nope, I understand you don't feel like it today, but get your butt up. We're going to go do stuff today. You know, like, she needs somebody like that in her life. And I think she's purposefully cut most of those people out because fundamentally, I don't think Chantal likes being called on her crap, right? Which is a bad thing. Sometimes being called on your crap is really, really helpful. All that is to say, I got very sidetracked. She had a spicy night with a gentleman caller, and she seems really happy about it. And I'm really happy for her. Girl, pandemic's hard on people's like love lives, okay? Like, even people in like established couples. Partner and I haven't been on a real date in so long. I would kill to go to like a fancy restaurant and maybe like go see like a comedy show and maybe go see one of Partner's ridiculous indie bands, you know, the one where there's it's like a seedy sticky bar and there's only like 15 people there listening to the person play, and they're always playing some eccentric sort of music. This is a very specific reference to an artist by the name of Unwoman that we saw like some years ago when we were visiting San Francisco. She's great, don't get me wrong. I really recommend you check her out. I think her like most popular song is called The Actress. It's a great song. It's like got very vivid imagery, but it was such a weird experience. Anyway, he loves stuff like that. It's been a hard time for everyone's loves lives. So if you got something that works for you, that works for the other person, and that's helping scratch that certain itch, go for it. I mean, it's not hurting anybody. She's not hurting anybody. He's not hurting anybody. So I'm happy for her. And if this puts her in a good mood, if this makes her feel like, yes, people care about me. Sometimes knowing that other people care about you can be almost the same as you caring about you and can motivate you to do things for yourself, you know?
Does Antonio watch your channel? I never told him I was a YouTuber. I don't know. Like, I didn't tell him the name of my channel and all that stuff. Like, I just kind of like hinted around. I'm like, are you the type of person who's like comfortable on camera and stuff? And like, you could tell by his pictures, he's not really like super photogenic. He looks uncomfortable. So I don't think he would want to be on my videos if I told him. I don't know.
Okay, so she hasn't told her gentleman caller about the fact that she has a YouTube channel. Now, she doesn't have to disclose this information right off the bat or at all, really, especially if it's a very casual thing and they're not going to be intimately like linked later on, right? You might not want to tell people about your personal lives like especially because Chantal overshares on her YouTube channel so much, and because there's a lot of less than flattering stuff for her out there, right? Like she said herself when a friend of hers was watching a video by Chantal, like in the recommended, it was a whole bunch of reaction channels. You might not want to expose like a potential love interest to something like that because it will make you look bad inevitably. That being said, if you aren't comfortable with him knowing about your YouTube channel, you should be very careful about how much you share about it on YouTube, right? We've had this happen in the past where you'll mention an obscure detail and people will like dig and they'll find stuff. Should they be doing that? Probably not, right? I don't like that, but they could. And more importantly, you know, you haven't given him the ability to consent to you sharing information about him. Now she's keeping it vague. We don't really know if his name is Antonio. It could definitely be something else. He could be using a fake name. So information right now is pretty like, you know. But at the same time, this is a slippery slope. And she's on live. This is not a pre-recorded video where you can go back through and you can edit out stuff that you're like, oh, shouldn't have said that. Oh, shouldn't have said that. Oh, shouldn't have said that. This is her just talking. And she's talking a lot while high. So she could say something and not be able to take it back. And it doesn't matter if you delete it, right? There's always like 1,000 people in her lives. There's 1,000 people watching and recording. And even if 3 of them are like people who don't like you, this information could get out. They could find who this person is and they could potentially give him information about you framed in a manner that is definitely less flattering to you than if you had shared this information with him, framed in maybe a slightly better light, right? Just be careful here because she's having a good time, and if you want to keep having a good time, you should like maybe keep some of it to yourself. And I know that she's sharing because she thinks of them as her friends, but still, I'll talk about that in a later video.
I think he will. This is mealtime. Who likes pickled beets? Excuse me.
Last comment for this video is that she makes a dish here, and I wanted to comment on it because a lot of what she's eating this whole week is like really awful garbage food, but she cooks this meal herself. It's baked chicken. She seasoned chicken breast, and then she pours like a can of, I want to say it's mushroom soup on top of it, and then she bakes it, and she has it with some rice. Overall, I actually think this is a good meal, right? Like, assuming that the cream of mushroom has actual cream in it, she's probably using the Campbell's regular stuff, hopefully the low sodium version of it. That has some fat in it, that has some protein in it, it's got some carb in it. She's, you know, got the chicken in there for the protein and a little bit of carb, and then she's got the rice, which has carbs in it as well, right? So she's got, it's not the best meal, you know, maybe if you want to make it even slightly better, really consider switching out your white rice for brown rice, right? But even that discounted, it's pretty solid, right? A lot of people don't like the texture of brown rice too. Just thought I'd mention it in there. I would switch it out with quinoa, maybe higher protein, more satiation, but whatever. I think the biggest thing that's lacking here is, where is the color on her plate? You always want to have some variety of color, some variety of vegetables. So like roasted broccoli or a boiled asparagus, or, you know, something of that variety, right? You want to have like a fresh salad component on there, right? Something that's like a bright green, you know? Or if you want to be lazy like I am some nights and I just don't have the energy to like make a salad, I like cut up a bell pepper. Oh my God, especially the red ones. They're delicious. I just have like 2 bell peppers, and if I'm really feeling fancy, I'll have some hummus with them too. But you want to have some vegetable on that plate. Even if you're not cutting down on any other other portions on there, they can really help. And I know that she's limited in which vegetables that she can eat, so definitely talk to your doctor about it, and also try and experiment to see which vegetables you like can tolerate, right? So maybe like something very cruciferous like a kale is a bad idea, but maybe something like a carrot wouldn't really hurt your stomach. You should be trying to reintegrate higher fiber foods back into your diet. The point of being on a low FODMAP diet isn't that you just stay on there. It's that you build up your gut fauna again, and then you like start eating like those foods again. You start trying to get back to like a normal quote unquote position. Now, she has other things to consider, but it's not like she's considering them in this meal either. Overall, though, a relatively inoffensive video and a pretty decent meal for Chantal, all things considered. I wish she was eating like this in the rest of her life. Next.
This guy, I saw him before on the dating app I went on. And which dating app was it? Because I have a couple now. Was it Tinder? I don't remember. Plenty of Fish. Anyway, this guy was like, he had a picture like, you know, showing his muscles. He has like a perfect, he's just like perfectly perfect, like, oh, like, I can't explain it, like, just, oh, so hot. And, anyway.
This is part 1 of 2. In this video, she is getting ready, right? She's getting ready to just go out, look pretty. Good for her. I like doing get ready with me's a lot too. I think it's like a really nice way to both do something, because I have this, you see, I talk a lot with my hands. Get ready with me's give me the opportunity to like do something productive with my hands while also talking to you guys. And also it takes like a little bit of the pressure off where I'm like, am I looking at the camera straight? It's such an issue. And I have a bad habit of like looking up when I talk. I even do that when I'm like in person with people. It's not just the camera, but it like takes some of that pressure off too. So not knocking that at all. A thing that she mentions in here though that's curious is that she mentioned she's not a very big fan of very muscular guys because she's had a bad experience in the past. I'm curious to see what that bad experience was, because it makes me think that it was her French lover who she had that experience with, because I think she said a few times that he was very judgmental about her weight and that he was actually in pretty good shape when they started hooking up. And I'll just remind everybody, in case you missed it, that she was massively underaged when they started that relationship, and he was a creepy predator. I don't care what Chantal says in this situation. People who have been the victims of abuse from predators of this variety will often think that, oh, he liked me because I was mature. He liked me because I was special, and not he picked me because I was vulnerable and he could exploit me because he's a predator. You won't change my mind on that. But that it makes me think that maybe that the bad experience that she had with a muscular guy was that. That's if, of course, assuming that this is true. Chantal says a lot of things about her sex life that often turn out to be, let's just say, massive exaggerations. But she goes on and on and on to fawn about how hot this guy is and his like abs and all this and all that and like how fit he is. And I'm going to be talking about a little bit more about that on my Thursday video. But I remember when she talked to Papa Swolio, the deferential way, not differential, the very deferential way in which she spoke to Papa Swolio, how kind she was in his in responding to his suggestion of joining her group, how gently she decided to back out of that situation as opposed to being defensive and angry about it, how she never clapped back at him even though he made follow-up videos about this and he's talked about her since then. She's always been very quick to make herself seem as non-noticeable as possible. But she's always been really on the offensive with, say, Michael B. Petty or Zachary Michael. And I can't help but feel that that's because they are not available to her as sexual conquests, right? People who Chantal can't necessarily attract, quote unquote, who she doesn't have a shot with, she tends to be a lot meaner when they offer a suggestion. But she's immediately intimidated by the presence of someone who could theoretically in some world find her attractive. I don't mean to say that no one could ever find her attractive if they're that buff. I just mean to say that people who are straight, and since she's also straight, might see her as a viable option. She's much less like soft with them is the best way that I can put it. She's much less polite with them. She's much more bending to their will. She's much more acquiescent to their demands. And we see this in her stories too. A lot of times she'll tell stories, like this one where she talked about like some guy who had like STDs and she was in a hotel. And she's like, I didn't want to like sleep with him anymore because people told her that he had STDs. But then rather than just saying, hey, I changed my mind, she's just like trying to get out of it, you know, the whole time. And that struck me as being so weird. Why wouldn't you just say, I'm not interested anymore? You can just say that, you know. If you're not interested in someone, any point during your encounter, you can just say, hey, I'm out of this situation, goodbye. But she doesn't do that. Even in her, and I definitely think that story was made up, even in that made up story, I think, Sloppy Joe, that was the story. Even in that Sloppy Joe story that she told, she could not say no to this person, that I am no longer interested. Like saying, turning it down wasn't an option. And it makes me feel like she's so insecure that on the off chance that this person wants to actually sleep with her, she can't afford to say no because there might not be anybody else. That also makes me really sad. It's a really uncomfortable fact that she views herself that way, and I really wish she wouldn't.
Want to see what I'm wearing? Look at the cat hair. Oh my god. I'm wearing my craft shirt and these pants. Gotta stretch the shirt. Maybe we could dance like this.
The last thing I talked about was a little bit heavy, but this is maybe slightly even heavier. Box Mountain is making a return. The reason why I say that this is more problematic than the last thing I talked about, which is her having so low self-esteem that she doesn't want to say no to anybody, no matter how unfavorable those situations are when it comes to a sexual encounter, is because her surroundings, we have seen very visibly, have a negative impact on her mental health. And she's in a high right now. She is having a good time. And I would hate for the thing that sort of crashes her back down to earth to be her just having this massive pile of boxes again. And given that she just had people come out and take all those boxes out, she's going to be that much more resistant to having them come out again. Pete has shown no care and no interest in trying to sort that out. And Chantal obviously doesn't, right? Part of it is just that she's very physically limited, and part of it is just that she's very lazy. I'm telling you, the best way to keep those boxes from becoming a massive problem is to break them down as they're coming in, like one by one by one. She doesn't do that because that's a lot of work. And so then she's in this situation where Box Mountain is building back up. And I feel like maybe in like a month, she's going to be back to where she was, where she started. And because she's already done it, where she's already had people come out, this is going to become a reoccurring thing. It's just another thing she's going to sink money into. But in the meantime, while those boxes stay and she's resisting the urge to call people to come out and break them down for her and take them out again, it's going to start impacting her mental health the way that it did last time. And then we're going to start seeing buildups in her bedroom. And we're going to start seeing her, like take care of herself less. I'm just worried. I'm worried that this phase of her personality seems almost manic. And I'm scared that when the turn comes, that the boxes being there are going to exasperate it and make it so much worse. Anyway, next. There's not much to report in this video. She essentially just says that she thinks that the guy is ghosting her, and she eats like a ton of food. She also goes to the bathroom a lot. This is the second half of the same night, and I think in total this also adds up to like 5.5 hours. She goes to the bathroom a lot. She eats like a poutine, or maybe I'm not pronouncing that correctly. She eats cheese, a lot of cheese, and she doesn't have a gallbladder, so obviously it runs through her, and then it causes her to go to the bathroom. But because she is incapable of learning from past experiences with cheese, she has the memory of a goldfish when it comes to that. She makes herself sick on it, and then she has to keep going to the bathroom. There's really not much happening. There's really nothing to talk about. Anyway, next. All right. This video is the one that I was talking about. She is high. She is high as balls in this video. She is higher than the Empire State Building. She is like Charlie Sheen in the last season of 2.5 Men. She is so high. She like blasted, right? I'm exaggerating, of course. She's really losing in this video a little bit. Beyond how high she is also like just sort of sitting in one place and not really moving. And this has become a thing where she'll just sit for 5 hours at a time in one location. And it's a little worrying to me. If you guys don't know, movement is actually very important when you're heavier, because if you are very, very sedentary, blood clots can become a thing. And I know that Chantal is on blood thinners, but she's on a host of medications, and I have no idea how they're interplaying with each other. And in any condition, her sitting, y'all know the drill by now, my camera got full. Anyway, what I was trying to say was that in any condition, it's not advisable for her to be sitting for this long, periods of time. It's just not good on any part of her body. She should at least be getting up to walk around every once in a while. I know that when I have to sit in one place and do a project, and I'm like, say, editing, or even if I'm doing stuff for work or just whatever, anything, I get up and I make sure to take like regular breaks where I'll just do like a walk around my house, grab another cup of water, make myself like a hot tea, anything, right? Even just getting up and like just stretching out my shoulders a little bit, just like stretching my arms out a little, cracking my back, whatever, anything. Just something to get a little bit of movement in so that like I don't get so stiff. And I imagine it must be even worse for her given how much weight she's carrying. Anyway, beyond that, there really isn't very much happening in this video overall. Next, this is the shortest video that she has made this entire week. It is 47 minutes long. And she talks a lot about guys that she's seeing. She runs some errands. But there's only a couple points in here that I really want to focus on. The first thing that I want to talk about is that she mentions that, they just want to get right to it. They don't really want to engage guys. I mean, they don't really want to engage in a lot of conversation with her, a lot of chit chat with her. They don't want to get to know you type of things. And that struck me as being a little bit weird. You're on a hookup site. If you were on Bumble and guys were just like, hey, let's just get down and dirty and get it over with, then it would make sense to me. But you're not on Bumble. You are on Tinder. You are on a hookup site. So of course people want to hook up. If you don't want to hook up, that's fine. But then you got to make that clear to them, right? You can't just be like, well, why is everybody telling me they want to hook up with me? When you have, please hook up with me in your tagline. I don't know how any of these sites work. To be very honest with you, I haven't actually used any of them myself, and I'm a little scared to check it out, to be frank. The other thing is that she talks about this guy and how he apparently kept asking her if she'd had sex in on different pieces of furniture, on I think she said a coffee table, a washing machine, and something else. And she goes, which of course I have, but it was a while ago. And I would just like to press X for doubt, because she makes herself seem like she's so much more sexually adventurous than she actually is. Next, this is the last video that I'm going to talk about in this week, and then everything else will go into the next one. I know she's already gone live, but I will not be able to watch and review all of that before I get this video up. It is too much. And quite frankly, I'm going to lose my mind if I watch any more hours of Chantal at this point. This video is incredibly boring. She runs some errands. There's really not much else happening. I'm still glad that she's getting out and doing things. And I really wish that she had recorded all this footage and then she'd condensed it down into a vlog. I think that would have made this a much more compelling video. But because of the length of it, I'm really just not that engaged with it. And because she's had so much live material at the end of this week, sorry about that. Because she's had so much material at the end of this week, I'm just kind of checked out with her. I get it. I get that this would have been maybe interesting, day in the life of what Chantal's doing. But right now, there's too much. What I will say is that I do appreciate that she's not high in this video. So that's something. Through lines for this week. I already talked about it a little bit before, but I'll talk about it here again. I actually talked about it at length before, but I'll talk about it here again. All of these videos, she's barely interacting with anybody other than Pete's. And even then, he's not in all of the videos this week, and she was live a lot. So many hours she's just by herself. And the people that she's interacting with the most are the audience, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But if you scroll down into the comments of any of her lives this week, it's like the first few comments are all about how tired her fans are of the lives. Now, I don't necessarily know if that'll be enough to change the direction of her channel. I think a lot of fans are hoping this is just a phase and that she'll change out of it. But I actually think this might be the direction that her channel now takes. I think that the lives, being as successful as they are, have shown Chantal that she can put in even less effort into her content and get a good amount of money out of it. So then why would she? We've already seen the path of least resistance is the only one that Chantal is interested. So why would she take another path? And this seems to be doing pretty lucratively for her. My worry is that doing lives like these for hours and hours and hours on end is going to burn out her fan base, and they're not going to be engaged with it anymore. I mean, I feel like already there's a lot of reactors who are feeling burnout, myself included, right? Like sometimes I like going through all of Chantal's stuff, not to say that this is like painful, but I do like going through all of Chantal's stuff. But what I like is I like watching her overarching storylines. The day-to-day minutia of her life is not interesting to me, and having so much minutia makes me kind of disengaged with her content. Like I said, the last video, I literally have no idea what happened because at that point I was just scrolling through my phone. It was just too much. And I want to not have that feeling when I'm watching anything, right? You want to be engaged with the content that you're viewing. Now, I'm a hater and therefore garbage, so my opinion does not matter. But a lot of her own fans feel this way, and I think their opinion is very important because even though right now she's still seeing steady channel growth, I do think that's going to start dropping off if she continues doing these 5-hour lives. Another thing is, I don't really know how much her channel will grow if she's high this often on camera. Right? Like, I get that most of her audience is probably going to be adults anyway. I doubt that she's going to be getting very many children. But I really doubt that YouTube is going to push a channel that is this heavily using, any sort of weed-related, CBD-related products and have the effects of that online. I really do think that she needs to be a little bit careful because she might get shadow banned. Anyway, those are my takeaways for the week. There is a thing regarding her subs and her interaction and her relationship with her viewers that I want to discuss, but I'll put that in a separate video, maybe next week. All in all, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you hated this video, you can give me a thumbs down. That's totally okay. I respect everybody's opinions here. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the notification bell down below and hit all if you want to know when I upload any videos right away. If you want to know what my social medias are, they're all linked down below. I've got Instagram, where I've got food stuff, life stuff, just a little bit of everything. I'll be putting more stuff up there, always, as always. I've got Twitter, where I've got, my opinions on stuff. I'm a little bit toxic, I'm a little bit petty, but I'm also kind of entertaining. And if you ever have, questions you want to ask me or interact with me directly, that's where you can do it. I'm, the easiest reachable there. And I've got Patreon. Think of Patreon as the tip jar for the internet. So if you like the job that I'm doing here and you would like me to continue, consider tossing a few coins in my direction. Genuinely, right now, I'm saving all the money from Patreon and from YouTube AdSense to try and buy a brand new camera. My phone is servicing at best, but it gets full so often. It's such a hassle trying to film. So I'm trying to make that process a little less painful. So I want to get a mic and a camera. Those are on my list. Keep my fingers crossed. But your donations really go a very long way. They really, really do keep the lights on here. And so if you want to see my channel grow, hey, consider tossing a few coins down there. And as always, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace. A special thanks to my patrons, Acrophobe Christina, Courtney EP, Gigi Wee, Wild Rose, Jam Beans, Jay Thomas, Lauren Chris, Michael B. Petty, That British Unicorn, Sky Andropolis, Sonia P., Xanthal, Debbie Elliott, D. Higgins, Juliet Q, and Kate O.